We're going to look at another case of the law of cosines. This one is a little bit harder. So here we have side, side, side given. 3 of the sides, no angles. So the 2 times you're able to use law of cosines is if you have side, angle, side, or side, side, side. The thing that you have to remember when you have side, side, side is you have to start with the biggest angle first. In this case, it's going to be angle C because the biggest angle is the angle that opens up to the biggest side. The reason why is because if you solve like we did in the last example, where we do the law of cosines and then finish with the law of sines and then subtracting the other 2 angles from 180, if you end up doing the law of sines on an angle that's obtuse, your calculator is not going to give you the obtuse angle because you're going to end up in the law of sines ending up doing the inverse sine. And if you do inverse sine in the calculator and you have an obtuse angle, it's not going to give it to you because inverse sine is restricted from -90 to 90 degrees. So if you have an angle bigger than 90 degrees, inverse sine is not going to give it to you. But if you're solving for an angle that's obtuse and you're doing inverse cosine is restricted from 0 to 180 degrees. So your calculator will give you the obtuse angle. So summary of what I just said, if you have side, 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 you have to do the law of cosines and you need to make sure that you start with the biggest angle first, which is going to be the angle across from the biggest side. So because we're solving for angle C, we want to use the one that has angle C, which is the C squared formula. This time we're given side C, which is 12, and we don't have angle C, so I'm going to leave that as a variable. In the last example, we were able to plug all of this into the calculator at once, but we didn't have a variable here. So now we're going to have to solve this piece by piece. We can square each of these. 2 times 6 is 12, 12 times 8 is 96. Also a common mistake here, make sure you only apply that negative once. So I brought down the minus and didn't apply it to the 2. So I just did 2 times 6 times 8, which was 96. If you do apply that to the 2 and say -2 times 6 times 8 and get -96, make sure you don't also carry down the negative and have -96. Just apply it to the -2 or see it as a minus. A common mistake here, we can't combine all 3 of these numbers because this is not a like term. This has a variable attached to it. But we can combine 36 plus 64. Again, you can't do 100 minus 96 because those aren't like terms. We're going to have to subtract 100 over to the other side. Then we can divide both sides by -96. And then to split apart the cosine from the C, we can inverse cosine both sides. And you get 117.28. And then you can finish this problem doing the law of sines. If you solved for angle B first, you end up getting 36.34 degrees. And then you can subtract both of those from 180 and get 26.38 degrees.